Usually when we talk about taking care of our health, there's this expectation of precision, like
Yeah.
it's engineering or something.
Right, yeah. Like a machine.
Exactly. Like you get a cut, you put a bandage on it, or you break a bone and you get an x-ray and it shows that jagged white line. And the doctor just points and says, there it is. That's the problem.
And that's comforting, honestly,
Hmm.
because it's highly visible. We naturally want our physical problems to be neatly categorized so we can just, well, apply a direct fix.
But then you step into the world of human aging, and suddenly that x-ray machine is just totally useless. We're looking at a physical landscape that is incredibly murky, mostly because the actual breakdown is happening entirely beneath the surface.
Yeah, it's invisible until it's not.
Right. So, if you are joining us today, we are diving into a stack of source materials, specifically an internal training deck and a really detailed product information sheet for a supplement system called Liquid BioCell Life Plus by Shackley.
But our goal for this deep dive isn't just to, review a product or look at an ingredients list.
No, not at all. We are exploring the hidden structural architecture of the human body. We really want to unpack this major paradigm shift in how science is approaching the whole collagen life cycle.
Because the traditional approach to anti-aging, the methods we've relied on for decades, they're fundamentally flawed. To fix a problem at the root, you have to look past those visible symptoms and really understand the microscopic scaffolding that is quietly dissolving inside of you.
Yeah, and the sources point out something so universally relatable to start this off. Aging isn't just a number on your driver's license, it's a physical sensation.
Absolutely.
It's that knee that suddenly protests when you're walking down a steep flight of stairs, or noticing that your mornings require a bit more stretching just to get moving.
Or you look in the mirror and realize the skin on your cheek just doesn't bounce back the way it used to.
Right. But we tend to categorize those things, right? Like wrinkles, joint stiffness, or thinning hair. We treat them as completely isolated issues. You go to a dermatologist for one thing, an orthopedist for another.
Which makes sense on the surface. But the documentation argues these are actually symptoms of the exact same underlying failure, which is structural aging.
Structural aging.
Yeah, your entire body is built on a physical framework of bone, cartilage, muscle, and connective tissue.
And the central pillar holding all of that together, according to this training deck, is collagen. It is the single most abundant protein in the human body.
It really acts as the biological glue. But the critical takeaway here is that aging isn't just a passive event. You are either actively managing how you age, or biological default settings are choosing for you.
Wow. Biological default settings.
Yeah. Those stiff joints and fine lines you finally notice in your 40s or 50s, those are late-stage indicators. The cellular breakdown responsible for them actually kicked off decades earlier.
Okay, let's put some numbers to that timeline because the data in these internal documents is a massive wake-up call. So in your 20s, your natural collagen production begins to decline at a rate of 1% a year.
Which is, almost imperceptible at first. Losing 1% of your structural integrity at age 25 doesn't change how you run a 5K.
No, you don't feel it at all, but it compounds relentlessly. By the time you hit your 40s, a critical threshold is crossed.
Right, the tipping point.
Exactly. The physical breakdown of your existing collagen actually starts to outpace your body's ability to produce new collagen. And there's a specific graph in the training materials charting collagen levels in the skin for both men and women.
And that graph is really striking.
It's wild. For women, right around age 50, the line doesn't just trend down, it falls off a literal cliff.
Yeah, the documents actually refer to it as the menopause cliff.
Which sounds terrifying. Triggered by the onset of menopause, that compounding 1% decline suddenly accelerates into a drastic 2% drop per year. The line on the graph just plummets.
Yeah.
Why is that happening? Why does a hormonal shift destroy a structural protein?
Well, it comes down to cellular communication. The cells responsible for manufacturing collagen in your body are called fibroblasts.
Okay, fibroblasts.
Right. And for women, estrogen acts as a primary chemical signal that keeps those fibroblasts awake and working. So when menopause hits and estrogen levels severely drop, that signal just goes quiet.
Oh, I see.
The fibroblasts essentially go to sleep. So the production line grinds to a halt while the degradation of the existing collagen continues at full speed.
And it's not just the passing of time causing that degradation either. The sources highlight several massive accelerators, things like environmental stress, oxidative stress, and just the daily inflammation from simply living an active life.
And oxidative stress is particularly damaging. On a molecular level, it means you have free radicals, which are these unstable molecules missing an electron just bouncing around inside your body.
Looking for something to steal from.
Exactly, stealing electrons from your healthy tissues. Every time they steal from a collagen fiber, they cause microscopic damage, weakening the overall matrix.
Okay, let me try to visualize this. It makes me think of living in a beautiful, meticulously built brick house.
Right.
In your 20s, you have a master mason on staff, constantly repairing the mortar between the bricks the second a microscopic crack appears.
That's a great way to look at it.
But as you age, and especially for women crossing that menopause cliff, that mason goes on part-time hours. Or, like you said, falls asleep entirely.
Yeah, the fibroblast is asleep on the job.
Right. Meanwhile, the oxidative stress and inflammation are like a hurricane constantly battering the outside of the house. You don't notice it immediately because the bricks are still standing, but one day, enough mortar is gone that the walls actually start to sag.
That paints a very clear picture of the biological reality.
Yeah.
And it also highlights exactly why the health and wellness industry's standard response to this sagging house has been so, well, historically ineffective.
Because once people realize their cellular mortar is vanishing, the first instinct is entirely logical, right? Just go buy more mortar, just add more collagen to the system.
It makes sense intuitively.
It does. But the internal training document makes a hard pivot here. It explicitly states, if you only replace collagen, you're solving half the problem.
Which exposes the fundamental flaw in the just add more anti-aging strategy.
Mm-hmm.
The vast majority of standard collagen products on the market focus strictly on replenishment. They just give you a dose of raw protein and leave it at that.
Yeah, the documents say collagen quantity matters. Collagen quality matters more. Because your body at 40 is technically still making some collagen, but the new fibers forming later in life aren't as tightly woven or resilient as they were when you were 20.
Exactly.
But wait, I have to push back on this concept of replenishment. If my body is losing its collagen scaffolding, and collagen is just a protein made of amino acids, why can't I just eat a giant tub of generic collagen powder from the grocery store? Or, like, just eat a massive steak every day?
Right. Just load up on the raw materials.
Yeah. Doesn't my digestive system just break down that protein and automatically send the pieces off to fix my joints and skin?
If we look closely at how digestion actually works, we can see why the steak or the generic powder falls short. When you consume standard dietary protein, your stomach acid and digestive enzymes aggressively break it down into random disorganized amino acids.
Okay.
Going back to your construction analogy, eating a steak is like having a dump truck back up and drop a giant chaotic pile of loose bricks onto your front lawn.
Oh, I see. Just having bricks on the grass doesn't mean you have a structurally sound house.
Exactly. If your mason, the fibroblast cell, is asleep, those bricks are useless. The body will just burn them for basic energy or flush them right out.
Wow. So they don't even make it to the wall.
Nope. Furthermore, if you are dropping off new bricks while a hurricane of oxidative stress is actively tearing the house down, you are fighting a losing battle. You need a comprehensive biological system that manages the entire life cycle of the construction site.
Which perfectly transitions us to the specific scientific mechanism Shockley claims solves this exact issue. They call it triplex technology. And looking at the materials, this system is designed to work on 3 dimensions simultaneously: protect, stimulate, and build.
It's a really elegant approach.
Let's really break down the biology of these, starting with the protect phase.
The goal of the protect phase is defending the collagen scaffolding you currently have from environmental damage and biological degradation. To achieve this, the formula utilizes specific targeted botanicals, most notably pine bark extract and fucoidan.
Right. The spec sheet notes fucoidan is an extract from wakame, which is a type of seaweed. It's included to support balanced inflammatory signaling. But the absolute wildest claim in the documentation is what these botanicals do to 2 very specific enzymes in the body.
Yes, collagenase and hyaluronidase.
Those words are a mouthful, but what do they actually do?
Well, those 2 enzymes are the primary biological culprits in the breakdown of your structural framework.
The sources say the botanical blend actively inhibits these enzymes. Let's explain what that actually means. Enzymes are basically catalysts that cause reactions in the body, right?
Correct.
In this case, collagenase and hyaluronidase act like microscopic scissors. Their normal biological function is to cut up and clear away old dead tissue. But as we age and as inflammation goes up, these scissors go into overdrive and start cutting up healthy collagen and hyaluronic acid.
Yeah, they just start attacking the good stuff. So by inhibiting them, the botanicals in the protect phase are essentially binding to those microscopic scissors and locking them shut.
Oh, wow.
You are actively shutting down the degradation pathways. You are stopping the hurricane from tearing off the roof.
Yeah.
And once you stop the active destruction, you can move to the second dimension, which is stimulate.
Okay, so we've stopped the damage. Now we need to wake up the sleeping masons.
Hmm.
The stimulate phase relies on what the documents call bioactive collagen peptides. And the sources make a massive point to distinguish these from just raw protein blocks.
Very important distinction.
They describe these peptides as signaling molecules. How does a protein act as a signal?
This is where the science of hydrolysis comes in. Standard collagen, like what you'd find in bone broth, is a massive, tangled chain of thousands of amino acids. Bioactive peptides, on the other hand, have been pre-cut into very specific, precise sequences.
So they aren't just random chunks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because of their specific shape and size, they survive the digestive tract intact enough to enter the bloodstream. They then act as physical keys.
Keys?
Yeah, they flow through the body until they find the corresponding receptor, the lock on the outside of a sleeping fibroblast cell. When the peptide binds to the receptor, it triggers a chemical signal that turns the cell's manufacturing engine back on.
It's a literal wake-up call at the cellular level. That makes so much sense. The formula also provides cofactors, specifically biotin and zinc. If the peptides are the alarm clock waking up the workers, the biotin and zinc are the specialized tools those workers require to actually synthesize the new collagen chains.
Precisely. Which leads us to the final, and biologically perhaps the most overlooked dimension, build.
The build phase is all about the environment where this new collagen is actually forming. The product relies on a patented liquid biocell collagen HA matrix. This matrix includes hyaluronic acid and chondroitin sulfate.
And this is where it gets really interesting for joint and skin health.
But let's apply the ELI 5, explain, like I'm in 5 rule here. People hear hyaluronic acid and they immediately think of facial serums. What is it actually doing deep inside a joint or under the skin?
Well, hyaluronic acid is a type of molecule known as a glycosaminoglycan. But the simplest way to visualize it is as a microscopic sponge.
A sponge, okay.
It has this incredible capacity to hold up to 1,000 times its own weight in water. Inside your body, your cells don't just sit in empty space. They exist in an extracellular matrix. Without hyaluronic acid, that matrix dries out.
Right.
When new collagen fibers are formed in a dried-out environment, they become brittle and snap under pressure.
Ouch. But when you flood that matrix with hyaluronic acid, it plumps up. The new collagen fibers are suddenly suspended in a deeply hydrated, shock-absorbing gel. They become pliable and resilient.
Exactly. Add in the chondroitin sulfate, which specifically gives cartilage its shock-absorbing properties, and you're rebuilding a cushion.
That is fascinating. The sources also note the inclusion of calcium cryptoborate in this build phase. Calcium cryptoborate is a highly bioavailable, nature-identical boron complex. And boron is absolutely critical for bone metabolism.
It really is. It helps calcium actually integrate into the bone matrix.
Which emphasizes that we aren't just talking about smoothing out wrinkles here. We are literally reinforcing the heart mineral scaffolding of the skeleton.
Yeah, it's a full-body structural upgrade.
So stepping back to our house analogy, but grounding it in what's actually happening to our cells, the triplex system is essentially a 3-part life cycle manager. Protect, binds, and neutralizes the degrading enzymes so your current structure stops dissolving.
Right, blocks the scissors.
Stimulate uses precise peptide keys to unlock the fibroblast cells and turn production back on. And build floods the extracellular matrix with the molecular sponges, so the newly synthesized collagen has a hydrated, shock-absorbing environment to thrive in.
It's an end-to-end management of the biological environment.
Yeah.
You are dictating exactly how and where those amino acids are utilized, rather than just, throwing a stake into your stomach and hoping for the best.
Okay, so having explored these deep cellular mechanics, the logical next step is how this actually translates into the real world. How does a person fit a structural life cycle manager into their everyday life?
It's always the big question with any supplement system.
Right. Looking at the product info sheet, Liquid BioCell Life Plus is, as the name suggests, a bioactive liquid. The serving size is 1 tablespoon taken twice a day, and it's flavored with apple, blueberry, grape, pomegranate, and acai juices.
And from a behavioral science perspective, a liquid format is incredibly strategic. Well, the absorption mechanics of a liquid are generally more efficient than a compressed powder tablet, sure. But more importantly, liquid shots boast vastly higher compliance rates for daily use compared to choking down a handful of massive horse pills every morning.
Oh, absolutely. Especially because it bypasses the need for mixing clumps of powder into smoothies. You just take a quick shot from the fridge and you're done. Now, regarding how it interacts with the rest of your diet, the sources do mention synergy with other products.
They do.
They bring up a product called Collagen 9, which is a more traditional supplement providing 10 grams of collagen and all 9 essential amino acids.
And this addresses the core synergy question.
Yeah.
Does triplex replace your dietary protein? The answer is no.
Right, because you still need the bricks.
It's exactly. Collagen 9, or your dietary protein, provides the raw material, the massive dump truck of loose bricks. Liquid BioCell Life Plus provides the management system. It supplies the peptides to wake up the workers and the hyaluronic acid to prep the environment, so those raw bricks are actually built into a strong, resilient wall. They're designed to be used together.
Now, there is one detail in the internal business training notes that serves as a massive reality check for anyone listening. When Shepley trains their ambassadors on how to talk about the physical benefits, the joint mobility, the skin elasticity, they're explicitly clear. The messaging around these results really centers on 90 days of consistent use.
90 days. That timeline is so vital to understand.
It really is. It requires 2 bottles a month to maintain the habit, and it means we have to respect the actual biology of structural change. We are so conditioned by caffeine shots and headache pills that work in 20 minutes.
Yeah, instant gratification.
But you cannot rebuild a damaged cellular matrix overnight. This is a 90-day fundamental structural rebuild.
Which brings up a critical point about managing our own expectations regarding aging. When we talk about a structural rebuild, we have to remember that collagen is a systemic protein. It is everywhere. You cannot spot treat aging from the inside.
Right, you can't swallow a tablespoon of liquid and say, hey, bypass my aching knees and only go to my forehead to fix this specific wrinkle.
The body just doesn't work like that. It operates on a triage system. When you ingest a systemic signaling matrix, your body is going to direct the raw materials and the cellular activity to where the structural framework is failing the most.
It prioritizes the biggest emergencies.
Exactly. The product sheet lists an array of benefits: joint mobility, bone density, cartilage integrity, and the health of hair, skin, and nails. But if you start a regimen purely looking for fewer fine lines on your face, while your body desperately needs to repair the shredded cartilage in your knee, the biological resources are going to go to the knee first.
Because survival always trumps cosmetic.
Always. You have to treat the whole framework, not just the facade.
That is such a crucial perspective. You are forcing the body to fix the crumbling foundation in the basement before it allows you to paint the living room walls.
And that systemic repair takes continuous daily signaling.
Let's bring this all together. We started this deep dive by looking at the very real physical aches and pains of structural aging, the murmurs of the framework quietly dissolving beneath the skin.
Yeah, the invisible breakdown.
We unpacked the biological futility of the traditional dump truck approach to collagen, realizing that raw materials are useless if the cellular workers are asleep and the environment is hostile.
And we explored the scientific paradigm shift of full life cycle management, protecting the structure by chemically locking the destructive enzymes, stimulating the sleeping fibroblasts with specific bioactive peptide keys, and building a resilient, hydrated matrix using molecular sponges for the new collagen to thrive in.
It fundamentally changes how we think about supporting our bodies as the years pass.
It really does. And if we pull back from just this one supplement system, it leaves us with something quite profound to consider about the future of human longevity.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What's that?
Well, if modern science has figured out how to use targeted botanical extracts to manually switch off the specific enzymes that degrade our framework, and use isolated peptides to manually switch on the cellular engines we thought naturally retired,
Yeah.
what's next?
Right, where does it end?
Exactly. If we are currently learning how to manipulate the biological clocks of our cells just to stop the degradation, how long before we map the molecular signals required to not just pause the aging process, but actively reverse it? What if structural aging isn't a one-way street at all, but a programmable loop?
Wow, a programmable loop. If we can write the code to pause it, eventually we can write the code to rewind it. That entirely reframes what getting older actually means.
It really does.
It brings us right back to that murky diagnostic landscape we started with. The X-ray might not be able to show the microscopic mortar dissolving between the cells of your internal house, but that doesn't mean you can't be the architect of how it gets rebuilt. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the things you've been told are inevitable, keep digging into the science, and above all, take control of your own biology. We'll see you next time.